Guru Sri Juta Padakamalang.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to our channel, Bhagavad-gita. Here it is, because we have Bhagavad-gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. My name is Lavangala Tika. We are speaking English now, yes. We started reading chapter 9, text 11 last time, and it was a very long purport, so I will read text 11 today as well. Avajananti mang mudha manushung thanamashritam parang bhavam majananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. So Krishna can say that, because he is actually the Supreme Lord of all that be. And we are reading Bhagavad-gita to get to know him. And here, there's so many obstacles, but this is a quite outstanding obstacle. If we try to read Krishna's book without actually accepting Krishna, we will have some challenges. So I continue where I left off, where, yes, we just said that Krishna can award liberation to anyone. He's the proprietor of everything. His body is a symbol of complete knowledge and bliss. Because they do not know that Krishna has so many transcendental qualifications, they deride him. So yes, we get to know him. Before we say anything decisively, before we make a decision on how we relate to Krishna, let's get to know him first. Nor do they know that the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this material world is a manifestation of his internal energy. He is the master of the material energy, as has been explained in several places. Mama Maya Duratyaya, he claims that the material energy, although very powerful, is under his control. And whoever surrenders unto him can get out of the control of this material energy. If a soul surrendered to Krishna can get out of the influence of material energy, then how can the Supreme Lord, who conducts the creation, maintenance and annihilation of the whole cosmic nature, have a material body like us? So this conception of Krishna is complete foolishness. Foolish persons, however, cannot conceive that the personality of Godhead Krishna, appearing just like an ordinary man, can be the controller of all the atoms and of the gigantic manifestation of the universal form. The biggest and the minutest are beyond their conception, so they cannot imagine that a form like that of human being can simultaneously control the infinite and the minute. Actually, although he is controlling the infinite and the finite, he is apart from all this manifestation. So we have our conceptions, we have our ideas, we have our conditioning, and that is natural because that's where we're standing and that's how we relate to this world. But when we come in contact with something new, it is the more intelligent thing is to give that thing the opportunity, the chance to show itself, to not immediately judge it based on our limited knowledge. And especially so with Krishna, because we don't know Krishna. I lived in Denmark for a while, and there was a man, so I'm not from Denmark, so I don't know all these people that appear in the news, but he was some kind of a philosopher, and he was kind of well known, and he made some statement that this is foolish to believe in God. Just like we go out at night, and we look at the stars in the sky, and we think, if there's a God, why would he put those stars there so far away? They're useless. No intelligent God would do that. So what does he know? What does he know about the functions of the stars? Such a foolish thing to say. And similarly, if we make these very conclusive statements about what is God and what is God not and how he cannot be there, and especially when we hear about Krishna and we hear the stories from the Mahabharata, he's interacting with the leaders of the time, trying to influence the situation in the world. Here, I mean, Bhagavad-gita is spoken just on the beginning of a great battle, one of the greatest battles fought in the world. And then we say, oh, well, that's not possible. It can't be like that. Well, it's okay. We can reject anything if we like. But if we're here and we're a little bit serious about understanding Bhagavad-gita and the philosophy of Bhagavad-gita, when we run into this sort of philosophies, because they are out there, then we want to say that if you don't accept Krishna, then why are you studying the Bhagavad-gita? I am studying Bhagavad-gita, and I have at least accepted Krishna's in a hypothetical sense, because otherwise it really doesn't make sense to study the book. So we go in, and Krishna says these things. He's also saying, it's not just something I say, all the great sages that are famous throughout the universe, they've all said the same things. So we're saying that nobody else can do what Krishna does. Nobody else has those kind of potencies. So yes, he's God. Then his pure devotees in Vrindavan, they don't pay any attention to the fact that he's God. They just love him. And we are much more attracted to hear about their relationships than we're hearing about how Krishna is very powerful in this world. But it cannot be rejected. There is this story when Madhya Yashoda, when Krishna is a little boy in Vrindavan, and then the other boys with with Balaram, they run off to Madhya Yashoda and said, Krishna, he has been eating dirt. And Madhya Yashoda says, Krishna, have you been eating dirt? And Krishna says, no, of course not. They're just making things up. And she says, well, then show me your mouth. And Krishna opens his mouth, and Madhya Yashoda looks into his mouth. And the whole universe is there. All the planets are there. And she's also seeing herself in there, looking into Krishna's mouth. And she becomes very bewildered. And she starts to speak philosophy about how powerful Krishna must be. And maybe he's one of the demigods. And maybe this and that. Then Krishna closes his mouth. And Madhya Yashoda says, so Krishna, don't eat dirt again. Because her relationship of love to him is the most overwhelming part. She doesn't need any proof that he's God, because that love is so strong and so natural and so much part of her nature. But for us, before we come to the point where we'll surrender our very life and soul to Krishna, it's actually good to get to know a little bit about him. Yes, he's actually God. Yes, he can actually handle the responsibility of accepting our love and our life and our service. So we want to know these parts also, and we don't want to be sidetracked by somebody who has, a good philosophical mind or a good ability to juggle words. We don't want to get sidetracked. We don't want to lose track of Krishna. This is a priority to us. Actually, although he's controlling the infinite and the finite, he's apart from all this manifestation. It is clearly stated concerning his yogam aishvaryam, his inconceivable transcendental energy, that he can control the infinite and the finite simultaneously, and that he can remain aloof from them. Although the foolish cannot imagine how Krishna, who appears just like a human being, can control the infinite and the finite, those who are pure devotees accept this, for they know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore they completely surrender unto him and engage in Krishna consciousness, devotional service of the Lord. So that's the natural thing to do. Yes, Krishna, we love you, we want to serve you. But we're not just being sentimental, we're not just being attracted to Krishna because he's charming. That is also there. But we also know what is what. We know what is valuable. We know what is, lasting and meaningful. And that is all connected to Krishna. There are many controversies, well, something like that, between the impersonalists and the personalists about the Lord's appearance as a human being. But if we consult Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, the authoritative texts for understanding the science of Krishna, then we can understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not an ordinary man, although he appeared on this earth as an ordinary human. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 1st chapter, when the sages, headed by Shaunaka, inquired about the activities of Krishna, they said, Kritavan kila karmani saharamena keshavaha atimartyani bhagavan gudha kapata manushaha. Lord Shri Krishna, The Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so masked, he performed many superhuman acts. Bhagavatam 1.1.20. The Lord's appearance as a man bewilders the foolish. No human being could perform the wonderful acts that Krishna performed while he was present on this earth. When Krishna appeared before his father and mother, Vasudeva and Devaki, he appeared with 4 hands, but after the prayers of the parents, he transformed himself into an ordinary child. As stated in the Bhagavad-gita, Bhagavatam 10.3.46, Babhuva prakrita shishu, he became just like an ordinary child, an ordinary human being. Now here again it is indicated that the Lord's appearance as an ordinary human being is one of the features of his transcendental body. In the 11th chapter of Bhagavad-gita also it is stated that Arjuna prayed to see Krishna's form of 4 hands, Tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena. After revealing this form, Krishna, when petitioned by Arjuna, again assumed his original human-like form, Manusham Rupam. These different features of the Supreme Lord are certainly not those of an ordinary human being. No. So we don't have to fit Krishna into, how to say, the constraints of our own logic, because we can be open to the possibility that our logic is not complete. Our logic is built upon that which we know and that which we can extrapolate from that which is already known, but it cannot think up something it doesn't know. Like sometimes we think like that. We go back to a few 100 years back, a few 1,000 years back, and show somebody an airplane or a telephone or something like that. They would probably think it's a miracle because they don't know the technology. So there are also a lot of things we don't know. So we don't know Krishna, but if Krishna is God, if he is the origin of everything, if he is the master of everything, the owner of everything, the controller of everything, he can do whatever he likes. So it stands to reason, yes, we can still be logical about this, that Krishna will do things that he likes, while at the same time he will still have all the power that is connected to him being God. So we see here, at the time when Krishna appeared, around 5,000 years ago, his parents, Vasudeva and Devaki, they had this very strong desire to have Krishna as their child. They had been spending many lifetimes performing austerities and prayers, and he was pleased with them, so he appeared. And it's a long story. And I recommend that you read the Bhagavatam, because in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, all of these stories are, we find them there. Then of course there's even more in the Krishna book, but yes, both places. So Krishna appears. His parents, they were in prison because Kamsa, who was sort of a king at that time, he heard a prophecy that Krishna would be a problem, so he put the parents in prison, because then he thought any child is born, he already can control that newborn child. Anyway, what happened was Krishna did appear. He appeared in the heart of Devaki, and then he was transferred to the heart of Vasudeva. He was transferred to the womb of Devaki, and then he appeared. He didn't take birth. He didn't appear like a tiny, helpless, bewildered child who can do nothing but scream. He appeared as Vishnu in his four-armed form, with a beautiful hair, beautiful silken garments, a flower garland. Nobody's born wearing a flower garland. So he's not born. He appears as he likes, in this world or in the spiritual world, or if he appears here, he brings the spiritual world. And then his parents, because we're speaking about Maya, we're speaking about the illusion in this world, but the pure devotee, they have another Maya, Yoga Maya, which is Krishna's energy, which is there to increase the sweetness of the relationship. So Mother Devaki is praying to Krishna, you're looking like this, like Vishnu, then Kamsa will immediately know who you are. Better, you take the form of a small baby so that I can protect you. this doesn't make sense. If Kamsa can kill Vishnu, he can also kill a little baby. But Mother Devaki, that's the logic of love. She wanted to see him as her child. And he agreed. He became a little baby. And later on, Vasudeva carried him out to Vrindavan, and then he lived the rest of his childhood in Vrindavan. And that is obviously another story, and hopefully we will get there. The thing is, Krishna can do whatever he likes. But when he does whatever he likes, he also accomplishes other things. So in this world, when he comes here and appears here, it's because he likes to have some particular activities that only take place here, like he's fighting with these demons. And some of these demons are actually his devotees who come in that form to give Krishna a good fight, a good match. He comes here so that we shall get an opportunity to get to know him. Because if we don't know him, even when we know him, we find, especially in this verse of Bhagavad-gita, even when somebody is studying the Bhagavad-gita and commenting on the Bhagavad-gita and teaching on the Bhagavad-gita, still they don't get the point that this is about Krishna and Krishna is God. So that's possible for Krishna. He can be God, and he can be a sweet little baby in the arms of his mother, because that is the relationship of love. Both of these things are happening at the same time. And not only both of those things, because Krishna has relationships with everybody in the spiritual world, in this world, and when he comes to this world to manifest those pastimes. So that is very wonderful. But it is not very surprising that Krishna's activities are wonderful, because he's God. And when we try to use some logic to box him into a corner and deny him his position because our logic doesn't allow for it, then that doesn't harm Krishna. But it harms our process of self-realization and spiritual advancement. Some of those who deride Krishna and who are infected with the Mayavad philosophy quote the following verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam to prove that Krishna is just an ordinary man. Ahang sarveshu bhuteshu bhutatma vastita sada. The Supreme is present in every living entity. We should better take note of this particular verse from the Vaishnava Acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, instead of following the interpretation of unauthorized persons who deride Krishna. Jiva Goswami, commenting on this verse, says that Krishna, in his plenary expansion as Paramatma, is situated in the moving and the non-moving entities as the Supersoul. So any neophyte devotee who simply gives his attention to the Archamurti, the form of the Supreme Lord in the temple, and does not respect other living entities, is uselessly worshipping the form of the Lord in the temple. There are three kinds of devotees of the Lord, and the neophyte is in the lowest stage. The neophyte devotee gives more attention to the deity in the temple than to other devotees. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur warns that this sort of mentality should be corrected. A devotee should see that because Krishna is present in everyone's heart as Paramatma, every body is the embodiment or the temple of the Supreme Lord. So as one offers respect to the temple of the Lord, he should simply properly respect each and every body in which the Paramatma dwells. Everyone should therefore be given proper respect and should not be neglected. I know words. And so many good words we have here. Because that's what we need. We need to wake up that perspective, that consciousness of seeing ourselves in connection with Krishna and this world and everybody else in the natural way. We don't have to create something very confined. Everything is spiritual unity, and to think that God as a person is illusion, or everything is just material, and to dream of any God above that is just foolishness. No. We can fit all of that in, because that's Krishna. He has no limitation. But he allows us to get to know him, and that's what we want to do. And that is just so much more interesting than just creating a stale, fixed Mayavad philosophy, where we don't fit, where Krishna doesn't fit, where life doesn't fit. There are also many impersonalists who deride temple worship. They say that since God is everywhere, why should one restrict himself to temple worship? But if God is everywhere, is he not in the temple also? Or in the deity? All of the personalists and the impersonalists will fight with one another perpetually. A perfect devotee in Krishna consciousness knows that although Krishna is the Supreme Personality, he is all-pervading, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Although his personal abode is Goloka Vrindavan, and he is always staying there, by his different manifestations of energy and by his plenary expansion, he is present everywhere in all parts of the material and spiritual creation. I'm so happy to come here so we can share these understandings of Krishna and get to know him better and better. And yes, don't fall into that foolish idea that our tiny logic can restrict Krishna from being everything that he is. Thank you so much. Please leave any comments you might have, or questions especially. We put up new videos Tuesdays and Fridays mainly. And thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.